The good thing in our team is that I know something about the business, let's say a lot, and my co-founder knows also a lot about technology. He doesn't know to program, I don't know how to create a great SWOT analysis, but we both share the interests. So it's like, if you want to be the CEO, you need to know lots of stuff. If you want to be the CBDO, you cannot be like totally knowledgeable of the things in technology. So we really did a good match. And it's I would just add that, okay, it's great to have technology guy, business guy, but those guys need to share the knowledge.
Hello and welcome to the Recursive podcast. Our next guest became an entrepreneur fresh out of high school. Nikola Krstic is now the CEO of a company called Anoris Technology. His company develops a multifunctional glove designed to help people with impaired vision. The glove works like a wearable assistant device, enabling blind people to have a better quality of life. Nikola Krstic, welcome to the Recursive podcast.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
It's great to be here in Belgrade. So on your home turf today, we're going to be having this conversation about how it all started. Can you bring us back to the idea that became Anoris Technology?
Yeah, sure. It was now not that long ago, approximately 7 years ago, maybe even last 6 years ago. I started my first company, my first startup when I was 16 years old, actually. That's the first time I presented the idea about the smart glove for blind people on some high school competition in the entrepreneurship. I was always something like a nerd kid. I started programming when I was 8. I created some websites and the blogs and so on, but I was always thirsty for creating something new about the technology and interested in investigating some new stuff. It's something that always drove me and led me to the time when I developed and invented smart glove for blind people. It was just like something that, you can imagine the high schooler that is geek and that wear glasses and he's very small, sitting in the classroom, talking about device that will do so much for someone, for example, blind people. You can imagine that nobody would trust you that you will make it. Neither I trusted in myself that I can make it. I knew that I can make something that is working, that is a prototype like I did, but I never imagined that it can become something bigger, like a business, and that it will have its users, which is actually the most important thing in this story. Let's just focus on the Anoris Technology. Started when I was 16. I officially registered company when I was 18, but it became legal for me to do it. And we became part of Science Technology Park. That's an institution that works with startups and gives them a support. When I was 18, that same year, we became the part of Science Technology Park through some competition. Later on, I expanded the team. We got the Innovation Fund mini grant. Now I'm expanding the story a little bit, but just to make an intro for something that we do today also, and that's the software development. We do a lot of software development for the companies from abroad, for the Switzerland, for the United States. We do hardware development, 3D printing, and so on. So lots of interesting stuff in the development part.
Wow, that sounds great. We're going to be digging deeper into this. But I introduced you like you just started your company fresh out of high school. You just said that you started thinking entrepreneurial when you were 16, probably even earlier. What sparked the plug? What made you think about becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, I never knew that it's called entrepreneur. I just knew that I was aware that I have a lot of knowledge in some parts, and I was always thirsty for the knowledge, and something like, it was obvious for me that knowledge can make a difference, can create something. And it did a lot of times in the past few years. It created lots of good products, not just the Nora in this case. Maybe the best thing was that I was very young and I was not thirsty for the money, but for the change in my life. That also brought some of the other successes in the future. I had a very complicated childhood. And I was primarily focused on, when you have a complicated childhood, you're always looking for some solution to make your time better. And I found my time better when I was learning, when I was in the library, when I was at the computer, when I was at the competitions, when I made the successes. Those successes that led me from the elementary school to the high school, all those small things that were my successes made me go further and further and make better steps through the shits that were in my everyday life.
It's very interesting that you're saying this, because yesterday, traveling from Sofia to here, we were listening to a Lex Friedman podcast, and he was into this conversation about the small steps, small successes that are taking you make a bigger risks, just the bigger risks, but it just connects very, very smoothly to what we were discussing today. Even the idea about the glove came out of a personal problem that you experienced. Can you share a bit more about this?
Yeah, sure. So the story is that I had lots of ideas, same as I do have them today. And for everyone who is entrepreneurial, he knows that you need to be focused on one thing in order for it to succeed. So I left my imagination about having tens and thousands of innovation products and led myself to focus on only one that will succeed and make itself on the market and into the other stages of development and investments and everything that we're going through. So my story about the glove is that I actually see on one eye from the bird. I see on the left eye maybe 15%, 15-ish%, 20%. So I'm not blind, of course. I see perfectly on my right eye. The fun fact is that my brain actually used to see the world only on right eye. I don't use left eye for anything in the regular vision, only for peripheral. So that's when I look at you, I see everything. So I don't ever, that's why we discovered it when I was 10 years old and I go to some eye inspection to the doctor, and that's when they realized that I actually don't see on my left eye. Yeah. And that's something that motivated me. I've been through many eye clinics and so on, and that motivated to me to think about the problem. To just think about a problem, and the solution comes very natively, because in my place, everyone who knows me as a problem solver. So when I see a problem, I'll always think, how can I solve it? And when I see something interesting that somebody's doing, I think about how would I do it. So naturally, from my personality, it came that when I saw the problem of blind people, that I will solve it using the techniques that I know the best, and that's the IT, that's the hardware and the software. That's the connection between the problem and the solution.
Well, that's great. Bringing you back a bit, something that the young founders and people that are starting companies don't even realize, but you realized it at such a young age, is the focus problem. Who or what told you that you need to focus on one thing to make it work, not like split your mind between all the ideas that a young person usually has?
Well, many people told me that, actually. The co-founder of Anora is the Igor Stožnjević from the Serbian. He's the guy that's like 8 or 9 years older than me, and he was the organizer of the competition in the high school that I attended. And he really liked the idea, and I really liked that I have someone older from the business world that can help me and teach me something. We started working together, and that's the part of the story when I realized that you really have to be focused in order for something. It's not like he or everyone is talking about the focus. I just started being, what's the point actually? So I was in the high school. There is a thing that the people that you are spending time with, you are becoming like them. So once, I was always like the out of the idea of being the regular high school guy or regular elementary school guy. When I found myself so young to be like with the businessmen, with entrepreneurs, to have meetings with 16 or 17 years old, I felt like I found my own place. And being in that mindset, their mindset actually expanded on mine and took my own personality that I had in me hidden. They took their personality and bring it in the front to become a reality. The personality inside myself became a reality because I had a touch with the reality of the businessman so young. That's actually the point. And everything that I learned was actually logical for me. It was like placed and based inside my head. I just needed to be with the people that think like that and to do the stuff that are motivating me, to find the logical stuff that are actually, nobody invented the focus. You have a focus. You have the philosophy about the human brain is that you already have all those things. You cannot learn to be happy. You cannot learn emotions. You can just explore them and find your inner self. And that's what I did, but I did it very young.
That's great. And while going through your journey, being on your own, you said like a nerdy kid, like I used to be as well, like the guy that's focused on the books.
That's good.
It's everyone has their own path, their own journey.
Yeah, but one part of the life everyone laughs at you, and that's completely okay. But one day everybody wants to share your time with you. When they realize the things that you realized, but just earlier.
Who supported you during this time? Was it your family? Was it like friends that you had that were like you were sharing your ideas with, working with, like on your websites or whatever you were doing?
Well, no one specially motivated me, to be honest. It is true.
Yeah.
The motivation for it was only the feeling that I had.
Intrinsic.
Yeah, I had very. It's like adrenaline. I was very happy when I created something. That's the only thing that motivated me. When I learned something, okay, I was very curious. I remember I was 12 or 13 years old. I played a game, and I was very interested in how this game is created. So I had to be a creator of that game. And that game is something that started my programming career, actually, more importantly. It's San Andreas
GTA.
multiplayer, yeah, GTA. There were the servers, and I started mapping the modes and the game modes and the servers. My game modes actually become really popular. That's when I started earning some small money amounts. It's in the programming language called Pound. It's a C-like programming language. That was some kind of motivation for me. Be a part of something, but not just the member. Be a creator and be a bigger part of something. That's why I go for every competition in the school. History, geography, mathematics, everything. Name it, I've been on the competition at least once.
Amazing. Okay, there's something that the Balkans have. The challenges, people say it's like a challenging place to grow, but what are the unexpected advantages that you see growing in Serbia or on the Balkans?
I just named many of them because, you need to get some life school before you learn to evaluate the stuff the right way. Sorry. So the most important thing, one of the most important thing in the life of every person, no matter the age, is motivation. What drives you in each moment of life. So when you're young, you can be driven by the small passions and the thinking about the stuff that makes you look cool. And that's the motivation that I was excluded of. I saw myself, as cool as I get is as successful I get. My life taught me, my earlier stages of the life taught me some very valuable lessons for whole life. And so my family of a long time ago was very rich, and everything dropped down. I was living with my mom and my grandmother. It was very tough time, and the life learned me that you always need to keep driven with going step forward. So if you started feeling like you have done something and that it's nirvana doesn't exist, you started falling down, and that's what happened to my family, and that's what I learned from them. My life could draw me in at least two different ways. The one that he drew me now, or I could be a glue sniffer on the street and everybody would be like, okay, it's understandable, he had a tough childhood. And that's the crucial part for the young people. So you said the Balkan has a tough situations. The best outcome of tough situation is to become stronger. There is no exclusions, there is no it's okay, you need to go further.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson I got very young, and that I'm keeping every day in my head.
So the lessons, if I can make some kind of a brief summary of them. First of all, own it, like have the ownership of what is going to come out of you. And the second thing is keep developing. Don't take for granted whatever you have in your life. So it can be, if you stall, if you say, okay, that's enough, I'm successful now, it's the beginning of the end.
Yeah, so exactly. The second thing is the most important, because it's not like you need to always be like hungry for success, but you just need to always have a look on the 3 steps forward in a time. What can happen, and be prepared. You don't have to overthink, just be prepared.
Great. I am a co-founder of a company that's doing IoT, doing something like a hardware wearable device myself. So can you please describe the process of developing a technology behind a smart glove? What was the idea that started? How did you imagine it? And what's the challenges that you went through? And how does it look compared to your initial vision now?
Sure, yeah. So the first glove that I created, you can find the picture on the web, was not a glove. It was just like a random prototype that I created to show the presentation of the idea. To create an MVP, to create a product, it takes a lot of different testings and many other people that know a lot of better things than you. So I was very well aware of the things that I don't know in order for this product to succeed. So we employed a lot of new software engineers, the hardware engineers, industrial designers, even 2 fashion designers to create the glove itself that goes on the hand. So first and foremost, it took a lot of people to create one hardware. You will always, every entrepreneur ever in a podcast told that the team is most important. And he said it because it is true. I don't think that this product can be done by one person. And one person can make an idea, but you need a good team to lead you. And also, like, we had lots of iterations. We had, I think, 6 or 7 iterations of the product and testing with the blind people in order to create it and fulfill the needs on the market, the needs of the blind people, to create a good product for them. And that's a never-ending story, you know. The development is always continuous. Development never ends. You always find new things, new versions of your device, and it's a good thing about development. It never ends. So yeah. Many other things were like obstacles on that road. You know, living in the Serbia also gives great things, but gives some bad things that are like, for example, you need to wait for the customs 2 or 3 weeks to import something, and we are pretty much importing everything regarding the hardware, beginning from the electronics and PCBs. So these are just something that I would like to point out in the podcast in order to reach someone who can maybe do something to speed up those processes for the development.
That's great. In Bulgaria, there's an institution called BESCO. It's a startup association that works with the government to make policies that are making startups' life easier, so they can be creating more value. So this is an idea that I'm throwing here in the conversation. Okay, what was the response to the smart glove that you've seen so far from the visually impaired people and also from the broader public?
The response was actually very good at the first. So our biggest success till now, and my personal biggest success, is that first time we tested the glove, the working prototype, testing was awesome because they used the glove and they would not let us take it away from them. They wanted to keep it for themselves, even though it just had an orientation and color detection and maybe light intensity detection. 3 or 4 functions totally. We kept our partnership with Institution for Blind People in Serbia, official organization. They are our first and foremost partner that actually helped us bring this product with blind people for blind people, created by them for them. So using their testimonials and their experiences, we fine-finished and fine-tuned the product in broad to bring it to them. They're really happy. And I know why they are happy, because there is a lot of assistive devices on the market. And those that exist are very expensive, and they primarily use for everyday. The best they use is Dog Assistant, and it's very expensive. I think it's 15,000 euros. And mostly they use white canes. And when they realize that someone is thinking about them, and they are really wonderful people doing everyday activities like we do. They use Facebook, Instagram, mobile phones. When I met them, I even more realized how helpful this is for them. Because when you say blind people, for someone who doesn't know them that good, and that's okay, they think about people that are sitting at home and maybe using some assistance to work around. No, it's nothing like that. They are very communicative, they are very social, like everyone else. And using this device for them, they really make them happy because they can do those everyday activities even more easily.
That's great. Thank you for doing this for these people, and I really wish that the glove is going to be worldwide phenomenon. Why not?
Yeah, thank you. So about the worldwide phenomenon, what we are doing now in Serbia is distribution. So we started productions recently, a few months ago, with some local companies like Mozart. They bought first series of gloves for the blind people, also with governmental institutions. And why we do that is because we don't want the blind people to be our buyers, our customers. We want them to be our users.
Okay.
So the glove in Serbia currently is free for blind people because it's paid through some other revenue streams. Someone else is a buyer, and that's something that we want to achieve in the future for, I hope, all other markets in the world.
Okay, that's great. So you are not having this issue about selling it to someone. You are selling it to institutions that know that it works, and you're delivering it for the people that need it to use it.
Yeah. Actually, that's the main point. So technology is innovative. It is, but the approach to the market is also very brave, because nobody likes to start a startup that has such a specific type of the users, and when your users are not your buyers, that's even more complicated. And when your buyers are primarily governmental institutions and corporations that need to see their part of the deal in the buying is so. It's very complicated, but it's very successful when you do it.
Yeah, it is, because it's a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah, it's win-win for everyone.
For everyone,
because we helped the blind people. If technology is innovative as much as you can broadly deliver it to anyone. Mobile phone was cool in the 60s. Mobile phones existed in the 70s. Internet existed, but nobody could afford it. Nobody could use it. It was not accessible to everyone. It became a great thing when you can have it in your pocket, when you can have it in every house. And it's like the heart transplantation. It's a great technology, but if you need to pay 10 million euros for it, it's like you don't have it at all.
Yeah, it's. I love Peter Diamandis' quote about disturbing technology.
Yeah.
So this is disturbing technology.
Disturbing technology.
Great, awesome. So one thing that comes to mind is, if you want the company to grow and to expand and the product to have a worldwide market, states are a market.
Yeah.
So
primary market.
Yeah, primary market, because it's the largest market. Yeah. So don't you think that it would be a better idea to sell directly to customers the product?
Well, in the United States, we need to see about that strategy. That strategy is something that we are working on now. We've been in New York, we've been in the Albany, we tested the glove with NABA, with the Lighthouse, Helen Keller, and so on. They're really satisfied. They wanted to order immediately 2,000 gloves. We told them let's wait, let's do a certification, let's improve the product, let's come with the version 2 that will come the end of this year. Let's go with the better thing when we test it out, because it's good for us to test our product in a smaller market that is our domestic and see what can go bad.
Quicker iterations, right?
Quicker iterations, yeah. And when we are 100% sure that our hardware is good, because hardware is very big pain if something goes bad with it. And the software, I made it, every day I have a client report of bug, somebody fix it or I fix it, we publish the new version and it's solved. And the client is in the Los Angeles.
So you're still hands-on, not only CEO, but also working hands-on on the company, like software.
Yeah, I do programming. Yeah, sure. I really love programming. I do it a lot less, but I do some backend stuff. Yeah,
that's great.
I really like to do that, but in the future, I think I will do it even less and less and less.
Okay, it sounds like you are on the way to global delivery of this thing, and I really keep my fingers crossed.
Thank you.
How did it all start? What's the competition that sparked this opportunity? What was the reward like? You obviously found your co-founder there, but how much money did you get, and what did you invest in?
I didn't get any money on the first competition. I didn't win because nobody thought that I will win, that we can create it.
You didn't win.
I didn't win on the
and
competition.
You still kept going.
Yeah, I kept going. Yeah. I got for the other competitions, and the people just saw me, and there was the medias, and that's how it all went. But there was the first competition that we won. It was a competition of the city of Belgrade for the entrepreneurs. They gave a grant. It was 3,000 euros. It was like the whole world for me. 3,000 euros. I can do anything with it. That's what I thought. Because I always tell, investing the first 1,000 dinars, investing the first 10 euros is a lot harder for me than investing 100,000 euros today. Lot harder step in this story, in this path. And I really like that I felt that. It was very expensive for me when I was in the high school to buy prototype components to make something. And I'm very happy that today, if I imagine that I want to create something, I can just order and we can create it. I don't need to think anymore about that problem. That's really good feeling, the best feeling of all. I don't have to think about that obstacle. We primarily for the first years we founded through the competitions, through the accelerators, until we get the mini grant of the Innovation Fund. It was 100,000 euros, actually 2,000 with our co-financing to 20,000. It was in 2011, 4 years ago. We finished the first fully working prototype using that grant. We upgraded the design.
2011 or 2019?
2019.
Okay. And just to make it sure, because I think you made a lapse there.
2019.
Yeah.
That was the year when we got that grant, and that's actually something that sparked bigger improvements, employments, and so on.
These are some EU funds?
IPA. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. What's the role of having someone that's more knowledgeable into business dev than you as a partner?
Oh, that's very important. Somebody recently told me that the best team that you can have on the start is the two guys. One that's tech, the other one that's business. And the good thing in our team is that I know something about the business, let's say a lot, and my co-founder knows also a lot about technology. He doesn't know to program, I don't know how to create a great SWOT analysis, but we both share the interests. So it's like, if you want to be the CEO, you need to know lots of stuff. If you want to be the CBDO, you cannot be like totally knowledgeable of the things in technology. So we really did a good match. And I would just add that, okay, it's great to have technology guy, business guy, but those guys need to share the knowledge a little bit.
It's one of the shortcuts to success is to have the great people to work with. So thanks for sharing this directly out of your personal experience. And as a CEO of Anoris Technology, what's your long-term vision for your company?
So there are two parts of the vision. One is the innovative part, that we create our own products, softwares and hardwares. For now, I pretty much just want to expand the current product, the glove, in the whole world. Primarily US market. That would be enough for the start, and that would make us unicorns. If we do it right, the US market will create the unicorns of this part. The other part of the story is the software development, the R&D, and the outsourcing we do for other companies. And I'd like to keep it like the small team that do a great stuff, because I think that most of the software companies, which is not bad, there is a lot of great companies, have lots of employees, but they go for the quantity. I'm more like for the smaller teams with the greater quality. That's the Switzerland logic. So, the Rolex, the expensive watches, you cannot just go and buy 10 of them. You can buy one of them, and that brings them the value. I like to create the products and the software that has a unique value, and that's not like we have 200 developers, and each day someone goes and someone new comes. I'd like to keep the team of maybe 15 or 20 smart and young people that are very driven, working together, that are brilliant and genius, that can create unique stuff for the client. And our clients, in the software terms, they have a great support, they have momentary support. So when they report a bug, we fix it in maybe half an hour. So if I want to keep that quality of the development, I cannot use it to be on like thousands of clients and hundreds of developers. When the quantity goes up, the quality a little bit drops. It's not a huge drop, but that little of the drop is what makes a difference. Smaller team, bigger quality, it's win-win deal for me.
A smaller team means that you can handpick the guys that you really want on your team as well.
You handpick the guys in team, you handpick the clients, and you always deliver the best possible outcome.
And you can afford to ask higher amount of money for your products. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. How do you think that Nikola Tesla's legacy has impacted the broader culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in Serbia? And what do you see as his lasting contribution to the field?
Yeah, so the Nikola Tesla is one of the most important guy in the human history, not just in the Serbian history. The Serbians are really driven about the history of having a lot of smart people. And I know a lot of smart people from Serbia that are not living anymore in Serbia. That's the sad thing. We have a lot of smart people. We had a good education. We have a good experts. Maybe by some happy case, we are all driven by this history of the events, and maybe like the Nikola Tesla is inspiration for many of the Serbians today. For myself, it really was. I was always fascinated with the thing that someone from our country created something that big. That make a whole lot of changes in the world. Maybe that's also motivation for the others, I know, but I certainly know one thing, and then there is a lot of very bright young people working with me, actually, in the moment, working together, and I'd like to encourage them to stay at home, because I really like the term of living at your home and working for the whole world. I think that's possible, because it's 2023. It's a new age. You don't really have to leave the country in order to do better things. I want to encourage young people to stay here, because your home is always your home. And I'm very sad when I see that those things happen. I understand them, but I'm very sad because of them.
Do you happen to notice people in Serbia going to have better education outside of Serbia, somewhere to the west, and coming back?
Yes.
What's the trend like here?
Yes. So the educational, so what's the main difference? So there are better educational institutions in the world. There are prestige institutions. For myself, I think that I will be very honored to be the part of the MIT, for example. And you know why? Because there is a lot of money and a lot of fundings in those institutions. So when you can become the student, you can have your labs, you can have your projects, you can get a straight path to the fundings. Even for the investors, if you are the startup oriented, the paths are just easily opened for you. That's why I think that people from the Serbia choose the education abroad. If my story didn't went through this part of the circumstances, maybe that would be my way. Probably that would be my way, but I had enough luck to see some other parts of the medals and do some other things here. And I'm very grateful for that, because I can now do with my people for the whole world, and still live with my people and friends and family.
How has the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Serbia evolved in the recent years, and what are the opportunities and challenges do you see for future entrepreneurs, the ones coming after you?
Well, from my perspective, it really expanded. I'm now for a certain amount of years in this story, and just looking in the Science Technology Park as an institution that we are currently in, and we have been for the previous years, the amount of startups is quadrupled, probably. I'm pretty sure that it's the number, and you see we had a lot of successful acquisitions of the companies in Serbia recently. We have a lot of companies, growing companies that get pretty much a very huge amount of investments. So I think that working in Serbia is really good. That's why the foreign companies come here in Serbia. We have a lot of smart people, yet we have a good standard, because you know why Switzerland and US customers want us, because we give them a good prices, very good prices that we are satisfied with. We make a big difference. We can use that difference as our advantage to go beyond our expectations for our environment, but yet give good values and good propositions for the outboard companies, for the foreigners. So that's the biggest possibility currently here. You know, the inflation happened, but inflation is still not that big to kill this good part and this space that we can use for the expanding for the other markets.
That's great. Just wanted to think, because you were saying that their number of startups has risen. Do you spend any time into mentoring or lecturing or teaching entrepreneurs about the things that you've learned? And of course, the second part of the question is, did you manage to find a mentor or something to do this with you when you were growing the company?
Okay, so first question is very, very, very exciting for me, because I unfortunately don't have currently time to teach anyone or work with anyone except my close partners, because I don't have employees. I have partners that are working with me. So maybe I from time to time bring some smart word for them, but unfortunately I'm not lecturing anyone or working with anyone. Probably in the future. I'm still very young. You know, I'm 23 years old. How can you just like that listen to someone who is 23 years old and take his advices, and you're older than him? Almost everyone that's working with me is older than me. So yeah, it's a little bit tough situation. So I need to become even more older and even to get more experience to share it to someone actually. That's also a very important part. I can maybe teach the high schoolers the best things to do in their years, and to choose their paths. Because you know, in high school you are driven to go to the university, to go. Maybe you're just not born for it. Because everyone thinks that they have to go to the university, and they guarantee you that at this moment 60% of the student doesn't have to be on the university. Not that they're stupid for the university. The point is that they can use their time for the better and bigger purpose for their lives, and the other 30% they can use the university for the better things, and it's just the better suit for them. Those 60% can use this time for some other things, and that's the point. And that's what I would like to tell to the high schoolers, because their parents, their teachers are making them being afraid if they don't go to the university, that they will drop off their lives, that they will be ruined. That's not true. That's not even close to the truth. You are the only one that can have a good representation of your life. And if you are not feeling like you are doing something good when you are doing it, don't do it just because someone told you to do that. And that's something that I can speak to someone. Yeah.
One thing that I find that you can do to high schoolers is they are very close to you in the ages, so it's easier to be relatable.
Yeah.
So, and this is very important, because when you go to high school and you're 40, 50 and you're very successful, they're like, look at this guy, he's nowhere near me for me to listen to him. But when you're fresh out of high school, you can say, hey guys, I'm 23, this is what happened in my last years, what I did was this and this, and they listen to you because they're yeah, okay.
That's the point, because when they see someone who is 40 or 50, which are the most businessmen and the CEOs, that's like, you are the god, but I will never be you.
Yeah.
This is a different story. That's
Absolutely.
What I would like to do, yeah.
Okay, of course, time is important, and as you said, focus is important. So stick to your focus, and the time is going to come. You mentioned in the conversation before we started recording that you never actually had a mentor.
never a real mentor, like, someone that's your life partner and life coach that's standing behind you and giving you advices. But I had a lot of mentors as the people that I met and that are very smart and bright people. The CEOs of the companies, the CEOs of the Science Technology Park, my co-founder, my friends, the clients also, through the time. So I would just say that my biggest advantage is that I was a good learner. So when I see someone, I try to learn from him, and I'm not afraid of taking his advices and knowledge. So yeah, on my road, no one was mentor, everyone was mentor. That's actually the best to say.
Great. Of course, in my personal life, a lot of things have come from podcasts and books. Would you care to share something that inspired you in a way, or made a significant impact on your thinking process or your business acumen, something that helped?
Yeah, it's a philosophy about life, because that's the most important thing for me. Because we are always talking about the business as something that is not physically, how can I say, it's not something that exists. And on that road, we sometimes become machines and lose ourselves and use our emotions and our personalities. You need to know how to be a good man in order to be a good businessman and good father and everything. For me, my biggest goal in life is to be a good man and a good father of my family, the one that I never had. And that's my goal that I never forgot. On that road, being a good businessman is just one of the key factors in order for it to succeed and for that story to be complete. But being a good businessman is not the final destination for me. So you need to think about yourself as the living person that has emotion and has its own personality, that needs to be better every day, and that you need to keep healthy. If you become very hungry for the money, you will lose your personality and you will become what you are striving for. I don't think that anyone would want that, and lots of them became that. And they were not aware of that process until it became too late.
What kind of philosophy books made you go into that direction?
I don't read any actually philosophy book. I read philosophy. I didn't read philosophy books from the philosophers. I read the philosophy. What is that called? Philosophy blogs, okay, but the philosophy articles from the universities, like real scientific philosophy researches,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But I actually never read a philosophy book. Yeah.
Great. It's funny that you're saying that you read researches when you were not in the university.
Yeah, I was not on the electrotechnical university actually, but I used a lot of references when I was in the high school, and like for the algorithms and many other classes, I watched their presentations and colloquiums.
Yeah. Just to put a joke here, you're not even a college dropout because you never signed for college, right?
No, I got the scholarship on the computer science, and I've been on the.
Have you been?
Yeah, on the computer science on the RAF.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on the scholarship, but it's a great faculty, But the most important is that all the knowledges that I got in the IT primarily came because I wanted to get them, and I get them out of any school.
Curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity.
Absolutely, simple as that.
Playing, yeah, just
That's
playing.
Great. Going back to the government role and the policymakers, what role can they play in supporting entrepreneurship here on the Balkans? What do you think? And what changes would you like to see in the regulatory environment to make startups and hardware and software development easier, quicker?
I don't think that startup has to have a cheat codes and to be like excluded from the other legal entities. So we don't have to have tax refunds or anything like that. We just have to have an easier development process, faster customs, maybe some local shops that have good storages and warehouses of the components, better connections, and so on and so on. So these are so small things for the government and for the governmental institution that create such a huge impact for the startup can be easily solved, they are never solved, and the problem goes on and on. Because I will tell you, so for example, if you need to order 3 things from the China, you need to do a 3-order custom imports, and if something is bad and you need to order a new one, you wasted 60 days in just waiting. Imagine what you could have done in 60 days development. And some lady on the customs just had to take your product, take your papers, see them, sign them, and send them back to you. And each process took 25 days.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous
And in 2023 it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and where in the European Union and many other countries, you don't have that. When the German startup founder orders something, he gets it the next day from the Amazon, and someone smiles him and gives him the post, and that's it.
Okay, is there a trend that companies create offices outside of Serbia to make this process easier and quicker?
Yes, they do it a lot. I know a few startups that are the founders. My friends are their founders, and they have small R&D departments abroad just to have a speed up, or they have some partners that really like on the black market. They buy it there and they drive the stuff to them because it's faster. Yeah. Order it physically.
Yeah, physically. Okay. What advice would you like to give to other entrepreneurs who are considering starting a business here in Serbia or in the Balkans in general?
It would be a global advice. You heard that a lot of times, and I will rephrase it: to believe in yourself and believe in your idea. Many people doesn't understand that sentence, and I will give you an example what it means. So believing in yourself means that if you have a green glove and you're 16 years old, and that glove pretty much doesn't work like you are speaking it will work, you need to believe in yourself that it is the product, and to represent it as a product that will change the world. You have 16 years, you have nothing, you just have your vision, and you believe in yourself that with the right amount of the stuff, right amount of the good things that will happen, it will become the thing that will change the world. You need to really believe in yourself in order for someone to believe in you. And that's the most important thing for anything in the life. The second most important thing is that I said is to, on that road, don't forget that you are the person and that you need to still live a good life and be the good part of other people's lives that you are the part of.
Okay, so using John Lennon's quote, you must say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. It's actually being the dreamer and believing in the dream. Yeah. But then reality comes and say, you're kind of a dreamer, this is not going to happen, this is impossible.
Yeah.
How do you get through this clash of reality and then something that's in your own head?
Well, the reality and the dreams should be the opposite, right? But I actually think that they are the same medal, but the different sides. So they are very tied together. Your dreams and your realities actually, in the best case, should not be any different. Your dreams should become your reality, and your reality should become your dream. So if someone tells you to not believe in your dreams, that's just because he's frustrated because he didn't create his own. That's the only reason.
Are there any key factors in starting your own business, taking the plunge into entrepreneurship? What do you think? I've heard that risk-taking is one of the factors, and the earlier it is, so the younger you are, the less thing you're worrying about.
That's the most important. So the day in your life has the same value in each phase. One day of your life, when you are a baby, when you are in the high school, when you are old, has the same value. But you see it different as less as you get from your life. So when you are 60, every day counts. But when you are 20s, you go to the parties, you drink alcohol every day, and you spend your days for nothing. But you were not aware that you will die someday. So your time is very limited. And as soon as you use it right way, it's the best for you. If you do it when you don't have family, you take the risks when no one is dependent on you, when you can try and fail many times, and that will be only your building of yourself, then it's a good investment. And that's why I started doing that when I was 16. I'm very happy because it happened that way.
That's great. Are there some big trends that you see in the technology sector in Serbia or in general here?
Well, it's definitely AI. Everyone is talking about the AI today, and we use AI a lot. It's a misphrase, AI is mostly not understandable, but with its key factors to the wider amount of people. But the AI is something that is completely the future. So the data and the data analysis is something that will become reality, and probably the most of the jobs in the future will be changed by some form of AI. We are experiencing that. There is this ChatGPT, and it's a good example of how AI can solve the problems. It's not perfect, but it will become even better every day. So I think that the people need to think about their professions. What could happen if the AI replaced them? So there are opportunities in the AI to create it, but even more important to say is that you need to think what will happen if the AI replaces you. What will you do? That's something that can happen. If you told the man that creates anything in the industry by the hand that the robotic hand will replace him in the industry, they will laugh at you. So I think that people need to think about it and prevent those things to make their lives better in the future.
Yeah, to prepare for those
to
things.
be prepared, yeah,
Okay.
because it's eventual, it's inevitable.
Yeah. Okay. And because you are CEO of a company that's actually doing hardware and software and Internet of Things, which is basically a term to use, technology that's using a hardware to work. How are you positioning your company to take advantage of such trends?
Well, we are really keeping up with the trends, and we are implementing all of them in our products. We are now also implementing the smart assistant in the glove itself. That's going to work like a ChatGPT. It's going to be like a Siri or anything. You can talk to her, she can give you informations. So we are really taking all possible advantages of the technologies on the market that we can in some smaller time implement without the big changes, because we want to deliver features as soon as possible, not spend 10 years in development of something and deliver it in the 11th. A rapid development and rapid deployment, that's important.
So yesterday's trip to Belgrade had the podcast that I had one of the senior management people in Facebook, and he reminded me of their motto in the beginning: move fast and break things. So you were saying the same thing today.
Well, you need to break a lot of things in order to create a successful one. So it's like an AI. You need a lot of unsuccessful iterations to create one successful. Once you reach the successful iteration, the next one will be also successful. But if you don't try, if you are trying only one thing, and that thing takes 1 year or a long amount of time, you will actually lose the time. It's a lot better to do smaller and faster steps, even if there are failures, just for the one that will succeed. And that approach usually brings the better results and faster results.
Awesome. You were saying that you think that the most important thing is being a good person. Mm-hmm. How do you think that entrepreneurs can have a bigger role in the society besides creating value for the economy? Do you think that they have a bigger role to play?
Oh yes, that role is the smallest one probably of all of them. So spreading the education to the young people and to pretty much everyone about the life, about the business, about the stuff, it's a key factor. So if you give someone the knowledge, you gave him a key for the success. If I give you, for example, if I give you $1 million, you can spend them. But if I give you knowledge and you are the right person, you can use that knowledge to make the billions every day. So if I give you the knowledge, you will never be poor again. That's the most important thing. And yeah, the different actions, the socially responsible actions that the entrepreneurs can take, they also make a lot of changes, but the education is the first step in everything.
All right, that's great. Do you have anything to add to our wonderful conversation today here in Belgrade? Something that we've missed and you think it's important to be noted?
I think that I told everything, because we already talked about the philosophy, about the key factors, about the motivations. I would just like to say once again because the people from Serbia will look it and the young people will watch it. I want to encourage the young people to think about their homes and to like create a good environment for themselves and their cities. To stay at home, yeah, because I'd like to see the young people working from Serbia to the whole world. I said it once in this interview, I'm telling it again, because I know the feeling that of being the foreigner. Whatever you do, you're always something like a foreigner when you are not at your home. And I don't want for everyone to like do that because they don't have to. I'm talking about the IT primarily.
All right. Is there ways that they can support Anoris Technology and in a way by sharing the interview or whatever to help you guys?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So sharing the interview is always a good. Also, someone who is interested in being the part of the internship or just want to meet us better, they can reach us on the website. We can do a meeting in the Science Technology Park. Some young people from high school maybe can come and see what we are doing, how it looks like. I'm always open for that.
That's great. That's amazing. Thank you for doing this. Me personally, I've been through a couple of conversations with people in Bulgaria working with people that are deaf, cannot hear during sign language or subtitles for movies or etc. Today I'm meeting you, who is helping people that are visually impaired in a way so they can live a better life, an easier life. So thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
Thank you for being with the Recursive podcast today. We will be very happy to have you next week when we meet another interesting person from the startup ecosystem here on the Balkans.
Next on the Recursive podcast, Darko Todorovic, VP of Engineering and Delivery at the software company H-Tech Group.
We are not going to be the best one in quantum computing, but I know people that are from this very city, basically, that are leading the way in quantum computing. So I think that this one of the missions that we have in H-Tech is, as I told you, to put the region on the map. What that means? That means that we are not an affordable option. We are not an option where you go to cut the prices. We're an option where you go to solve your biggest and toughest problems that you have.
And if you are just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.